Before we go a single step further, I must place a guard at this door. Do not attempt spiritual healing work, on yourself or on another, until a certain prerequisite has been established within you. This is not elitism. It is protection for you and for those whose names may cross your desk. You may go on as you wish, but if you remain a student with me, you must accept this. You cannot heal safely while you are inwardly moving. If there is motion in you, mental strain, personal urgency, subtle fear, the push of a wish, what will act is not spirit, but your personal sense of power. And personal power, even when it pronounces holy words, is aggression. I have seen it. Oh, I have seen it. How quickly the mind that wishes to do good will take hold of an appearance and wrestle it. The voice becomes soft, and the phrases sound like prayer, but beneath them there is a fist. And the moment there is a fist, you are not in God. You are in will. You are not witnessing. You are contesting. That is why, though it may offend the vanity that would like a title or a robe, I will not call you a healer yet. I will not set you and your well-meaning force loose upon appearances and then spend the rest of my weeks gathering up the fragments of those efforts. Let us name the danger plainly, so that we are done with self-deception. Healing attempted from mental motion becomes willpower. It becomes the fear that must see a result. It becomes personal influence that leans upon another's thought and pushes. And the pushing, you see, is hidden inside pious phrases. No, that is not healing. That is warfare dressed in church clothes. So we come at once to the real question, not as theory, but as necessity. What inner state must be established before healing can be safe and effective? I do not ask you to imagine it. I do not care for your brilliant statements, nor your memory of Scripture. I am asking for the one condition in which the I that I am can govern without the interference of your hand. Be still and know I am God. That is the condition. Until that knowing, until that stillness is felt like a weight upon the heart, you have no right to move upon a claim. I will give you one practice. Not many. Not a collection of affirmations. One. Simple, yes, not easy. You will master it or you will not. And if you do not, you will not undertake healing in this work. I am not harsh. I am guarding the integrity of a way. When you are ready, we will begin to establish that stillness in such a way that it obeys. Until then, refrain. Do not fight. Do not fix. Do not treat. Sit down inside and wait upon. Be still and know I am God. When the motion subsides, we will proceed. If it does not, we will not. Now then, before we speak another word about practice, we must settle the ethic under which this work is done. Healing, as you will meet it, is an encounter with appearances, claims, whose very texture is temptation. Disease names that come with a statistic attached, symptoms that shout at your nerves, prognoses written in a tone that dares you to contradict, the tremor in a family's voice, and, perhaps most treacherous, the memory of your own past fright. All of these will suggest that you take hold and fight. They are not merely physical, they are invitations to warfare. I say to you as a command, not a suggestion. Put up thy sword. No warfare with conditions, no contest with a symptom, no duel with a diagnosis. Not even a polite duel dressed up in verses. We do not coerce a body. We do not batter a pain. We do not lean upon a person's thought and press it. This work is undertaken only in a complete state of non-aggression. If you feel a blade in your hand, even a small one, even one engraved with holy words, you are already disqualified for that moment. Put it back in the sheath. Better still, lay it down altogether. Aggression is clever. It hides in spiritual language. Watch for it. I will make this organ obey. I will remove this pain. I will send light. I will send power. I will treat this condition. Do you hear it? All of that implies a second power that must be overpowered. It grants reality to the claim and then recruits God to defeat it. That is using God for a purpose. That is mental violence wearing a white collar. You may speak very softly and even close your eyes, but if beneath the phrase is a push, it is still a push, and it is not of God. Non-aggression is not passivity. Do not confuse refusal to fight with neglect. It is the refusal to grant reality to the claim and the refusal to employ God as a tool. It is the relinquishment of the belief that there are two powers to be balanced or shifted. There is no power in form or effect. All power is in the I that I am. Therefore, our posture is not inert. It is sovereign. It is the quiet certainty that the very nothingness of the appearance precludes the necessity for anything to be done to it. How will you know if you have slipped back into aggression? By motion. The rush to answer a phone with your heart already pounding, the quick inner bargain, if this goes, then I will. The counting of minutes until relief appears, the jaw set, the breath short, the mind rehearsing statements like weapons. All of that is the signature of fear and control. When you find it, do not fight the fear, do not argue with it. Simply lay down the sword. Step back from the claim, from the person, from your own wish. The only proof that you are not practicing mental force is stillness. Be still and know, I am God. Not a still phrase, but a still you. When the movement ends, the hurry, the strain, the insistence, when the body is no longer being driven, when the mind stops pushing images around, then, and only then, is there room for the government of the inner eye. Until that is tasted as a weight upon the heart, refrain from treatment. Put up thy sword, and let the silence testify for you. Now then, if we have laid down the sword, who will act? If you are not to fight, if you are not to push, what or who moves when healing appears? For the purpose of this work, and only as a training device, you must assume that there are two of you. There is the personal you, me, Joel, you use your own name. And there is the I, your true self, life itself, the presence that is God being itself as you. Do not make a metaphysical puzzle of this. It is simple. The person with a name is placed in the role of a beholder, a witness, an instrument. The I is the governor, the doer, the living one. Outwardly, it will appear that you are acting, that you are speaking, that you are answering the phone or sitting in the chair. Inwardly, if the work is rightly done, you will know that I am functioning, although to the eye it may seem to be you. You see, healing fails not because truth is untrue, but because the personal self attempts to do truth and then invites God to help. The person takes up the tools, pushes at a condition, and when the push meets resistance, calls on God as an assistant. That is separation. That breeds strain. That breeds time pressure. Hurry now, they are waiting. And then disappointment when the clock refuses to obey the personal will. The harder the person pushes, the more solid the appearance becomes, because you have just given it a second power to contend with. Two powers always mean war, and we have already agreed, put up thy sword. The assignment, then, is a simple change of seat. The personal you leaves the driver's seat and takes the witness chair. The I that I am, governs without strain. How will you know which seat you are in? By urgency. The moment you feel an inner demand to fix, to hurry, to perform, to prove, you are back in me-doing. And the remedy, listen closely now, is never more words, never louder statements, never faster mind. The remedy is relocation. Be still and know I am God. Not, I am God and I will use that to do something, but the knowing that I, being God, am the only life and law present, the only actor, and therefore there is nothing left for the person to perform. Do you not see how this resolves aggression without falling into neglect? When the personal self becomes the beholder, there is no push left in it. It does not lean on a patient. It does not strain at a symptom. It does not bargain with time. It abides to witness the government of the I. And the instrument, the body, the nerves, the breath, must be brought into agreement with that role. Stillness is the mechanism of this relocation. It is not a belief, it is a practiced yielding. Without stillness, you will continue to know the correct letter of truth while your heart beats as if under siege. With stillness, the same words, if any words are necessary, are no longer weapons. They are acknowledgments of an already present sovereignty. So when the call comes, do not rush to treat. First, relocate. Be still and know I am God. Let the personal you move to the side and take its rightful seat as beholder. Wait until the inner weight, the quiet, rests upon you, and only then will the doing, if any doing at all is to appear, be the effortless functioning of I through you. And if you cannot relocate, do not proceed. Better the honest pause than another round of me-doing dressed in piety. We are preparing for one practice that will train this relocation until it obeys. For now, remember the assignment. Two of you, me, the witness, I, the governor, and the bridge between them is stillness. Be still and know I am God. Now then, we come to the one practice I will give you as prerequisite, not as technique. Do not confuse the two. This is not a set of healing statements, not a bag of words to throw at appearances. It is a daily discipline by which you establish receptivity, so that when I, the I that I am, would govern, there is no inner noise to interfere. If you remain in this work with me, you must accept what I say. Never undertake healing work until you have mastered this stillness. I must ask you not to pass this on to anyone until you yourself have completely mastered it. The practice is simple in form and costly in honesty. You will not attempt to quiet the mind by force. No. You will address the body as you would a student or a patient. Isn't your body your first patient? Isn't it the pupil that must learn to take its seat? You will speak with gentle authority, without strain, and the address is one command, one, repeated with sincerity and allowed to settle. Be still and know I am God. Not shouted, not forced, spoken within, as if you were seated above the instrument, responsible for its classroom order. Seated or lying down, eyes closed, hands open if you like, spine easy, you begin. Be willing to take time. Do not hurry this meditation. Do not turn it into a performance. You are not bargaining for peace. You are establishing government. You speak. Be still and know I am God. Then you wait. Let the words sink as if into the tissue. If there is restlessness in the chest, stiffness in the jaw, a flutter in the belly, do not fight it. Address the body again, not the thought. Be still and pause. You are training obedience, not producing a mood. The criterion for readiness is not that you can recite holy sentences. It is that, by this inner command, your body yields. The moment you can bid the body to be still and it obeys, you will feel the breath lengthen of itself, the shoulders drop without your pushing, a weight of quiet descend upon the heart. You have made the instrument receptive to a government you are not voicing. That is the point. You are not trying to inject power. You are removing motion, so that the power that is already present may function without your interference. Do not teach this publicly. Keep the purpose of it secret. Guard it from curiosity and display. At first, you may not enjoy it. You may not even approve of the slowness. Good. Stay. Return to the one command, return to the pause, until the body learns that it must take its seat when addressed. When that obedience has been established, when, at your quiet word, the organism settles, you are ready to be taught from within how healing proceeds without aggression. Until then, refrain. Be still and know, I am God. Now then, take your seat within as the I. Not the person trying to get quiet, but I, the governor, just here, as if above the crown of the head, looking down into the instrument. See yourself, as it were, on a little height inside, and from here you address with one command. Begin at the top. Look down into the brain, not analyzing, not naming parts, just a general seeing into the folds, the lights and the little pulses, and say within, be still and know I am God. Then wait. No push. Let the currents subside. The eyes, those faithful reporters of alarm, around the sockets, the lids, the tiny muscles at the corners. Be still. The bridge of the nose, the cheeks, the temple drums that beat with hurry. Be still. The jaw, oh, the jaw loves to hold. Loosen it by address, not by wrenching. Be still. The tongue, just rest it in its cradle. The throat, soft. Be still and know I am God. Now the neck, the base of the skull, where worry hangs its coat. No argument with worry. A government is being established. Be still. Move to the shoulders and both arms at once. Look down as if they were hollow sleeves. You will find the habitual gripping there. Old habits of doing, of reaching. No scolding. Be still. Down the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, wrists. Palms open if you like. Each finger now, first together in a sweep. Be still. And then, if necessary, attend to the little places. The thumb's root that tries to hold the world. The tips that itch to act. Be still and know I am God. Return now to the chest. Do not control the breath. We are not counting. We are not improving. We are witnessing obedience. The ribs, front and back, let them widen, then drop of themselves as your word lands. Be still. The solar plexus, that little son of fear that loves to report news. No, we do not take its headlines. Be still. The diaphragm. Easy. The heart region. Not to be forced, only acknowledged under the same authority. Be still and know I am God. Down the spine and the back now, as if the column were a hollow reed. Look down through the neck into the upper back, between the blades, the long muscles that try to carry the world. Be still. One vertebra, then the next in a general sweep, no anatomy lesson, just the sense of the canal quieting. Be still. The small of the back, the sacrum, the tail. This is not hypnotism. This is obedience to inner authority. We are training the body to stop reporting fear as sensation and to accept the gentle government of I. Into the hips. This is the hinge of flight and flight. The bowl of the pelvis, the seat of bracing. Be still. Thighs heavy, yielding their armor. Knees. Often they whisper of running. No running here. Be still. Calves, shins, ankles that like to brace. Be still and know I am God. The soles now. Let them spread as if the earth itself promised you there is nothing to hold. The heels, the arches, the balls. Each toe from the big to the little, all the way to the nails. Be still. When you have descended to the toes, do not spring up. Rest again, up here as the eye, and look through the whole instrument as one field. If any pocket of motion presents itself, do not chase it. Simply place the word there and wait. Be still and know I am God. This is the method, a deliberate inner descent, one command, until the entire organism yields to quiet governance. And remember, no pressure, no contest. Just the establishment of a government that needs no force to be obeyed. Now then, there is a point. Do not try to hurry it. Do not try to fake it. When the practice you have been doing with such care turns upon you. At first it is you addressing the body, you instructing the nerves, you bidding the breath, be still and know I am God. You are the teacher in your own classroom, and rightly so. But there comes a morning or an evening, or sometimes in the middle of an ordinary phone call, when without your starting anything, you find yourself being addressed. Instead of you saying, be still, you are stilled. Instead of you reaching upward, something settles downward upon you like a weight that is love without sentiment. A quiet assurance forms, not as words you choose, but as a presence that chooses you. You do not use Scripture as a formula, yet suddenly it breathes from within. I am with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. That is the sign. The government is not something you hold. It is holding you. Do not, I beg you, mistake this for visions or fireworks. Mastery in this work is not a thrill, not a sweet mist, not a psychic postcard. It is the cessation of inner motion in the face of appearance. It is this simple. A symptom knocks, perhaps in your own body, perhaps in the report of another, and nothing in you rises up to fight it. No sword comes to hand, no hurry, no bargaining. The body you trained does not spring to alarm. The mind does not begin its little sermon. It is not indifference. It is non-reactivity born of recognized government. The beholder is in his seat. The I is governing. Now before that day, there will be resistance. Good. Expect it. Boredom will come and say, this is nothing. Irritation will come and say, why so slow? The body will twitch, the knee will bounce, the breath will try to take over the job. The mind will drag you into philosophy, into memory, into tomorrow's schedule. Do not wrestle any of it. These are not enemies. They are students fidgeting on the first day of school. You smile, do you see? And you return to the one command. Be still. You are not suppressing, you are establishing. Each time you meet the restlessness and do not argue, you are training the personal self to yield its seat. I will give you a marker you can live by. When, during the day, outside of formal sitting, the world jostles you, a sudden ring, a name with a history, a pain that pricks, you must be able to relocate to stillness in under a minute. Not by fleeing the scene, not by creating a ceremony, but right there. The shoulders fall of themselves. The breath is again not yours to manage. The inner weight returns without effort. If you cannot yet do that, continue the practice. If you can, the turning has begun. The presence has the initiative. Instead of you addressing, you are being addressed. Only then will healing be non-aggressive. For now, you are no longer sending power anywhere, no longer pushing thought into thought. You are witnessing government. The claim, call it what you like, does not meet your force. It meets the absence of a second power. And in that absence, it has nothing to strike, nothing to feed on, and so it dissolves into its native nothingness. Be still and know I am God. Let the practice continue until the knowing is not an act you perform, but a state that steadies you from within. When that is so, you are approaching readiness. Now then, let us make the contrast plain, so that you are never deceived by your own good intentions. There are only two modes available to you when a claim presents itself. One is the personal mind working on a problem. Me doing, planning, selecting statements, directing energy, pushing thought upon thought. The other is consciousness resting in I. Still, unhurried, not using God for a purpose, witnessing government. Only the second is healing. The first is a contest, and the very fact of the contest proves you have granted the appearance power enough to fight with. Watch the failure pattern. You will recognize it because it flatters the mind. A name arrives: cataracts, cancer, heart condition, depression. And with the name comes its train of statistics, its pictures, its timelines. At once the personal self takes hold. I will meet this. I will apply truth. Out come the phrases, the affirmations, the verses. They are hurled, softly perhaps, even poetically, but hurled nonetheless at a thing you have just dignified as an opponent. You speak truth at it. You send light to it. You visualize improvement for it. Do you see? You have entered the ring. You are now the second power attempting to overpower a first power. Two powers always demand war. Put up thy sword. In this duel, even when the words are correct, they become weapons, and you will feel it in your body. The breath shortens, the jaw sets, the minutes are counted. You peek to see if the symptom has yielded, and the peeking betrays your bargain. If a little relief shows itself, the person inside swells, "Ah, I did that." And if nothing moves, fear of failure steps in with the whip. What if I cannot? What if they do not improve? All of that, whether the face is proud or anxious, is one thing: personal doership. It is not healing. It is force. And the cost is exacted. Always. The practitioner becomes depleted, wrung out after each call, needing recovery days for what should never have been a battle. Or the practitioner becomes self-important, collecting results, rehearsing them to keep the self alive as a healer. Or the practitioner becomes timid, avoiding certain names because past contests with those names seem to go against him. These are not spiritual symptoms. These are the bruises of a fighter. You cannot engage a duel and escape the bruises, even if the gloves are stitched with sacred words. Now the appearances will continue to parade. Cataracts, of cancer, of heart conditions, of depression, and they will demand attention. The work is not to insult those who suffer, nor to pretend the parade is not passing. The work is to refuse them status as power. There is no power in form or effect. All power is in the I that I am. But you cannot merely say that while your insides are marching. Without stillness, your refusal is another form of resistance. Your no is just another shove. Therefore, the safeguard, do not move without it, is stillness. Be still and know I am God. Not as a talisman, not as a quick dab of oil, but as the cessation of inner motion that leaves no second power to enter the ring. In that stillness, you are not opposing the claim. You are refusing it audience. You are not sending power anywhere. You are witnessing government. And if, in the moment you are called, you cannot find that seat, if breath is fast, if urgency is upon you, do not proceed. Relocate. Return to the one command until the body obeys and the mind yields. Then, and not before, does the work cease to be mental force and become healing. Be still and know I am God. Now then, let me say it as plainly as I can. Knowing the correct letter of truth is only a step. Do not despise that step, but do not mistake it for the journey. Words, beautiful words, accurate statements, Scripture itself, are of no power to you except in proportion as they have been embodied, constituted within your consciousness. Until truth ceases to be a collection in your mind and becomes the very atmosphere of your being, it does not heal, it argues. And argument is just another form of force. Be still and know I am God is not a sentence you wield. It is a state into which you yield. And out of that state, harmony appears not because you made it, but because you stopped obscuring it. How does the letter become consciousness? Through stillness, through the daily, repeated, quiet refusal to use God for a purpose, through the patient bidding of the body to be still until it obeys, through taking your seat as beholder and letting I govern. Repetition, yes, but not mindless. You return again and again to the one command, not to get something, but to remove the inner noise that blocks realization. In that returning, the words are washed clean of your intention. They cease to be tools and become acknowledgments. Little by little, no, do not hurry this, the speaker fades and the instrument appears. You are no longer a mouth for statements. You are an instrument in which a presence makes itself felt. Instead of you prompting, you are prompted. Instead of you addressing, you are addressed. And the moment that weight of quiet rests upon the heart, the letter has begun to take on life. Let me give you a picture so that it is not abstract. What is water? H2O. Oh, good. Now, is ice a different substance? No. Is steam a different God? No. It is one substance appearing under conditions as solid, as liquid, as vapor. Truth is one. I. When it is only in your thought, cold, rigid, you have ice. You can throw it, you can chip with it, and it will bruise. When the inner climate warms through stillness, the same truth becomes living water, flexible, flowing. Warmer still, it becomes a vapor that cannot be grasped or opposed. Appearances pass through and find nothing to strike. Healing is not a battle that changes God. It is the alteration of the inner climate in which the one substance appears as harmony instead of resistance. Now, demonstration. Please do not set out to throw steam at cancer while your own temper cannot be softened by 10 minutes of quiet. Begin where you are. Let irritation be your first classroom. The phone rings. A sharp word lands inside. Can you, within a minute, relocate and watch it dissolve without reply? That is a demonstration. Fatigue presses at 4 o'clock. Can you bid the body be still and discover that strength is not in muscles, but in eye? That is a demonstration. A minor symptom taps. No sword, no fight. You refuse it audience, and it fades into its native nothingness. Each little proof says to you more loudly than any lecture, "Oh, now I know." And once you know there is no power in a cold, you cannot be as frightened by a louder name. The parade loses its intimidation because you are not standing at the curb as a spectator. You are seated as governor's instrument. What then is required? Time and consistency. Not brilliance, not novelty, not more phrases. Time and return. Several times a day, even for 5 minutes, turn inward and establish government. Day after day, for months, not less than 3 or 4, until the inner climate has changed and stays changed. Anything else is spiritual shortcutting, and shortcuts collapse when weather turns. Stay with the one command. Be still and know I am God. In that stillness, the letter warms, the ice becomes water, the water becomes that gentle, invisible atmosphere, and harmony is not produced. It is naturally present and revealed. That is consciousness. That is demonstration. Now then, because we have come this far, I must put a fence around the garden. Do not attempt healing work for others until you have completed a minimum term of steady practice. Not less than 3 to 4 months of daily stillness, every day, before you so much as lift a finger for another. This is not punishment, it is safety. Without it, what goes out from you is not spirit, but your personal sense of power, and that becomes mental force. Better an honest "not yet" than a brave show that leaves bruises on both sides. If this instruction should get into the wrong hands, into the hands that want to fix and prove without first yielding, then, frankly, it would be better it had never been given. Now the day's rule. Each day a formal period, never less than 30 minutes. Aim for an hour. Many of you can give 2 shorter periods, morning and evening, of 30 to 45 minutes each. Some of you, as grace permits, will sit a full hour and then a half hour later. Oh, good. Take it. But never less than 30 minutes of unbroken practice. And if less is all you intend, you are not to take calls for healing. Then, several times during the day, 3, 4, even 5 times, stop for 3 to 5 minutes and re-establish government. Do not wait for emergency. On waking, before meals, before you answer a call or open a letter, at the edge of the bed before sleep, return to the one command without hurry. Be still and know I am God. 1 minute well spent, shoulders softening of themselves, breath no longer in your management, is better than 10 minutes of performance. I must ask you to keep this practice secret. Do not make a public display of it. Do not turn it into a brand, a program, an announcement. Keep the purpose of it secret. If you wish to kneel, kneel. If you prefer to sit straight in a chair or lie down because the body begs for it, do that. If a slow walk helps the nerves at first, walk. Form is permitted to vary. The inner yielding must not. No counting, no show, no photographs, no reports to impress. All worship is wrong when done in public. It does not carry the weight of spiritual sincerity. This is your private altar. Let no one clap for you at it. Permission with constraint. Choose the form that allows you to obey. Some will find the early hours quiet. Others will guard the evening. You may set a discreet signal, a watch vibrating, a gentle bell, to call you back for those 3-minute returns. But when it calls, do not bargain. Stop, descend, head to toes, one command, and wait until the body obeys. If one morning the schedule crowds you, take the time from entertainment, not from stillness. If the mind says, "I have done enough," remember, we are not collecting minutes. We are establishing government. And do not teach this yet. Do not pass it on to family, to friends, to circles that like new methods. Wait until the sign is undeniable. You can relocate to stillness in under a minute in the midst of disturbance. You are more often addressed than addressing. The weight of quiet finds you when called. Then, and only then, may you be led, not eager, to share. And even then, keep it within sincerity, not publicity. When the term is fulfilled, and the practice has matured into that gentle, effortless governance, you will be ready to heal. Not with noise, not with show, not with pushing thought into thought, but with the quiet treatment that refuses the claim of power and acknowledges I alone as government. We will take that up next. For now, hold to the rule. Be still and know I am God. Now then, when you are ready, and readiness has this simple proof, you can relocate to stillness in under a minute. You remain non-reactive in the face of reports, and there is no itch in you to fix anything. Then the work is this, and only this. You enter stillness first, not second. You do not look at the name that has been given. You do not glance at a calendar. You do not gather details to satisfy curiosity. You take your seat as beholder. The breath is no longer in your management. The weight of quiet descends of itself. Be still and know I am God. When the government is felt, proceed. If it is not, do not. Put up thy sword. The treatment begins in silence. Not a technique, a recognition. Without forming words if they do not come, or with the simplest if they do, you acknowledge, there is no power in form or effect. All power is in the I that I am. You are not saying it to something. You are not saying it at someone. You are letting the truth take its seat within, where it already is. That is all. No outline. No diagnosis. No imagining of tissues. No mental pictures of light fighting darkness. In I there are not two. Therefore there is nothing to oppose. The claim is met as appearance only, without law, without cause, without continuity. Be still and know I am God. Compassion must be present, but not as pity and not as personal burden. Compassion here is the tenderness of non-aggression, the willingness to stand unarmed in I and let the government be what it is. You do not touch another's mind. You do not attempt suggestion, persuasion, or influence. You do not create a belief in them or remove a belief from them. You are not a fixer. You are not responsible as a person. You are an instrument through which I announces itself to itself, and the announcement is silent. I am. That is treatment. If words rise of themselves, they will be simple acknowledgments, not arguments. I, the life of all, am present. I am the law unto this temple. Get thee behind me, belief in a power apart from I. But if you are choosing phrases to strengthen a position, you have already entered a contest. Stop. Return to stillness. The moment you notice breath has quickened, the jaw has set, curiosity is peaking to spy a result, you have left non-aggression. Do not go on. Relocate. If necessary, say to the one who has asked, "I will be with you shortly," and withdraw to your practice. Better a quiet 10 minutes of government than 30 minutes of pushing thought into thought. How long is the treatment? As long as it takes for the inner assurance to rest upon you without your holding it. Sometimes a minute, sometimes more. You will know when it is complete because the matter has no more weight. The name cannot stir you. The I has the initiative. Then you release it. You do not keep returning to poke at it. That is fear. You carry no residue. That is vanity. Healing, when it appears, is the natural revealing of what was always so. And if in the hours that follow you feel the least tremor of personal concern, do not rehearse the case. Be still and know, I am God. This is the quiet treatment that refuses the claim and acknowledges I alone as government. If you lose stillness at any point, close the work and return to the prerequisite. The safeguard and the door are the same. Be still and know I am God.